All right. Welcome, folks. Jim Fuse and Peter Lasowski here from Relatable. And we're going to be talking today about how to get feedback and testimonials from your podcast audience using Relatable. Now, last week, for those of you that may have joined it or may have missed it, we kind of started to talk about how you can grow your audience with Relatable. Now, we are talking about podcasts, but as the world merges into video podcasts, this really works for live streamers as well. And so the first Relatable we talked about was introducing if you want to call it a cold audience, warm audience, into what your show is about and giving them a way to learn more. And then the second one, we talked about how to engage your existing audience by not only giving them reminders for future shows, but also giving the ability for them to opt in and capture their email so that as you start to build that relationship of know, like, and trust, you're able to communicate one-to-one with these people. And so today we've got a couple new things to talk about. But first, I wanted to give Peter a chance to say hello and see what we've got going on. We've actually got something new we're going to talk about today as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jim. It's just, in the world of all of this arm's length push button tech, it's nice to be able to have a way to interact and build community. And that's really, Jim, what I wanted to do with Relatable. For live streamers, podcasters, you do webinars, there's lots of use cases. But at the end of the day, if you look at all of us podcasters, instead of just saying, hey, I got this many downloads and not knowing who those people are, you can actually now interact with them and get feedback. And, what's cool is they can even help guide your show for content, right? It's like they can give you ideas like, hey, I'd like to learn about, maybe they want to learn about demand gen marketing, or what's the latest in how you get better responses with email marketing, or how do I use video to promote my live cast show? I mean, there's experts out there galore, right? You and Chris deal with that all the time. And so being able to have your audience kind of, not every single show, but give their input where you're going, wow, we're getting a lot of requests for this particular type of content these people want to learn at Dealcasters. So you go find that guest, and give the people what they want, so to speak, right?
That's right. That's right. And so, so we're planning to go for about a half hour today, folks. So we're going to kind of really jump right into some of this stuff. And so really the first thing I wanted to share with everyone is what we call Relatable's ability to provide feedback. And so what I'm showing here is an example of how that looks, and we'll actually use an actual Relatable, but this is just a recording I did of that. And so
and by the way, just so you guys know, Jim is in the builder of Relatable right now.
Yeah.
Showing you this.
Yeah. And so this example here is we're telling people, hey, these are the sort of things that we want to do. And so we have the option here to do different types of input. We can do single choice, we can do multiple choice, we can do text input. And so you're going to see here in a minute with this video that I'm just letting it kind of play. I might speed it up a little bit. Let me find the right video here. This is it right here. And so you'll see that, let's see, so many. Oh, here it is.
Found the right one to fast
Yeah, I found the right one. And so you see, as we fast forward here, right, we can ask them, like, what do you like about the episode? They put their content in, right? And I said, in this case, the guest interaction, and they hit the next button. We come back to the video. And so then, we can continue to the video. There's other options we could do there based on their responses as well. And so we can limit the text input to, I think it's 160 characters, if I Think I got that
Well,
right?
there's two types. You can
Yep.
have one that limits to 160, and then there's what's called open
Yep.
text, where it can be much longer, and they could write a whole paragraph if they want.
Right. Right.
Depends.
Yeah. And so then, and so in this case here, right, we went ahead and asked them, hey, what kind of guests or topics would you like to see in the future? Same thing, right? I said, hey, I want to see Peter Lasowski, talk to us. And so, hey, that you're getting your wish here today. But
Mhm.
this is also where we feel like this is the video where we can start to talk about what is it that your business does, because we all may have shows, but a lot of times we're not getting a chance to introduce what we do, how we make money, because sometimes your podcast or live stream is really more of a marketing tool and a training tool, and you're not getting a chance to build that. So at the end of this video, what I was able to do is I added the touchables like we showed last week. And what we did in the case of this touchable is, I'm just fast forwarding this video to save us all some time, is we put up like, hey, here's where you could learn more as an example about what I do with Dealcasters, right? And one of those things is we have an Amazon storefront, and so here's where, right, you can go to see the products we use, or you can schedule an appointment with us if you want to learn more about our business or visit our website. But like we talked about last week, you can create graphics for these. This was just this simple. This is simple and quick. Putting buttons takes very little time. You literally, if you've recorded your video, you can do this, in a matter of, I'd say literally minutes once you've uploaded your video into the player. So I think that's something that I find really intriguing and exciting.
Just can I add something to
Yeah,
that? So
absolutely.
these, what Jim was talking about, you guys probably all know Canva, and a lot of you use it, and a lot of you have, the free version. You don't even have to pay the paid version if you create these custom images. And these custom images, like Jim, those are buttons. Now, me personally, I don't like that, because I want to have something that's personally branded with actually me on the button or my face there, so people go, oh yeah, this is the guy that was in the video, right? But those can be made in Canva. You can do little square ones. And then what's cool about it in Relatable is you can set them up, and then we add these little spacers, and you just drag them around with your finger or your mouse. But you can position those buttons wherever you want, up at the top, in the middle, down at the bottom, center them right in the screen. Or you can have them this way, through across, or you can have them vertical. But it's very easy to do that inside Relatable. But it gives you a custom look and feel for your particular show with your brand images, your brand colors. I mean, you look at kind of what you and Chris do for Dealcasters, right? You guys have a specific look and feel for Dealcasters
Right.
in your branding.
And I'm gonna actually, this is the actual back end here of Relatable. And so that video that I had screen recorded, I'm going to go into it and show you guys. So this is the requesting feedback template. And so, we've talked about this in previous ones. You upload the video, but here's where we have what we call the pop-up setup. And so these are all the different things that I have in this video. And so if, as an example, you haven't asked for an opt-in yet, which I would recommend you do in video number 2, when you've got that engaged audience that's a part of you, because really what you're asking for is the ability for them to communicate with you, that then I know, like, okay, Peter asked this question, I can reply just to Peter. And so as you can see here, right, I had a single choice question, but we're going to go ahead and kind of show this now, Peter, because I think it's pretty exciting. So when
Yeah.
I go in here to edit this, and I literally just found this out today, folks, when Peter and I were talking before the show went live. We've added a new feature. So you can see, right, this is a single choice, multiple choice. But what we have just added today is sliders and ratings. And so, Peter, you want to talk a little bit about what that can do for folks?
Yeah. So there's the difference between the sliders and ratings. So think of a slider like a 1 to 5 scale, right? Now, if you look at things, really, people that are listening to you or watching your live casting, they're on their phone throughout the world. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, about 88% of all people on LinkedIn every day are on their phones. They're not on a desktop. So this was built for phone viewing, although it can be viewed on a desktop. But if you think about it, right, in a phone type usage, you could ask like, well, I would like to know using the slider group, you could have up to 10 of these, but I would say just do 2 or 3 so it fits on the screen without them having to scroll. But you might want to ask a question of is, please rate the content that we're providing in the show. And you could put 1 equals dislike, 5 equals love. And all they have to do is, if it's with their phone, they just drag the slider 1 to 5. So it's very easy. If it's on the desktop, they just click with their mouse, right? So you could have ask questions like, do you like the content of the show? Do you like the length of our show? You know, Jim could say, which person do you like better at Dealcasters? Rate 1 to 5 for Chris, rate 1 to 5 for Jim, right? So, I mean, I'm just kind of being funny about it, but it's kind of cool with the slider group because it's just a sliding with your finger. Now, the rating is a little different. So we have ratings, which is 1 to 5 on a radio bubble, and they just tap or click. And then we have this other one that's called star rating. And you guys all know star ratings, right? A 1 to 5 star, Yelp, all these ones. So we added that too because, you know, think about it, right? If you, and Jim's going to talk about testimonials in a second, but if you want to get testimonials for your show, and I can't stress this enough too, guys, we all know right now we are in a world where everyone wants interaction and community. So this is why your show has to have interaction. You want to build a community with your listeners. That keeps them loyal. And you can build that list over time. But you want to have that email or phone number because you want to know who they are. And you're not saying, look, I'm not collecting your email or phone number to sell you something. I want to get to know you, and I want to have you engage and give us feedback about our show. And I know that it came from like me. And, you know, if I gave Jim a 2-star on a show for content, well, he can contact me personally with an email or a text or another relatable saying, hey, I'd love to get on a video chat with you, Peter, because you rated us low. I'd love to find out why, right? So now you're getting, it's not always negative. It could be positive too, but you're getting feedback. You're building a community, right? And we all know nowadays communities have that strength. So no longer are your listeners, like I said before, they're not just downloads, right? So as it goes with the star rating, you can have them rate and rank you 1 to 5 stars on certain things of your show. And then what I would do, Jim would, you know, if Jim's doing this, he'd pop on after they did the star rating. Maybe they rate you 4 stars or 5 stars for the quality of your show. And he comes on and says, hey, I'd love to find out why you rated us that number of stars that you rated us. So there's going to be an upcoming text box. If you could please tell me why you rated us that way. So there's your testimonial with your 5-star. And by the way, because you know who they are, you can export that and you can put that on your podcast page. And these are all the testimonials that you're collecting from your community, from your audience.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's going to, you know, as I kind of joke with you, Peter, it's going to force me to create some new relatables using that process. And I know we're talking about podcasting and live streaming, but this is a tool that can be used really with any business. And so I think that's something that for those of you that are watching, you know, please, if you want to chime in, even if you're on replay, ask your questions, and we will definitely give you some feedback. And so the next thing I really wanted to talk about is what we call the ability to do the testimonials. And so what I'm going to show you is we're going to go back to I think we'll do it this way, Peter. Is I'm going to show you all the relatable for testimonials, so you kind of see how we build it. And so what we're really doing with the testimonials is, one, we can put this on our website. And so I'm going to show you here. I'm going to click this little pencil, and you'll see that you have the ability to embed this link. I want to say
down at the bottom there.
Yeah, right
the
here,
integration. Yep.
integration.
Yeah.
And so this could be above the fold. And so kind of the idea here is that when we do this testimonial, and I'll go ahead and put it in the viewer app so you all can see it, is that as we go through, we start to play it, and I'm fast forwarding it. And so we get to a point where it's like, have you watched the show? And let me see when we get to it. I think it's because here I was explaining to you how you want to set this up. And so right here, right, have you listened to our podcast? And so if they hit yes, we're going to go this direction, which at the end, we're going to actually give them the ability to leave a review or to get our show reminders, so we could send them to that Relatable that we've previously created that sends them to the show reminder.
Can
Now,
I add something before you hit back to
yeah.
Builder?
Oh, sorry.
If you could go back there.
Let me go back there.
Yeah. I just want to stress something with people here. If you could show that again, maybe.
I can do that. I just might have to pop over again. All right. Let me get.
Yeah, just take it all the way to the end there to the buttons.
All right, so we're going to head the yes, and then I'll bring it to the end again. So I think that's where you wanted to.
Because I just want to share something with people so that they really understand the flexibility of this.
Oh, are you seeing it?
Not yet. Oh. There we go. Now we hit yes, and then just take it to the end again.
Right.
This is a way, by the way, guys, what Jim is showing you here, this is also built in Relatable. So you can, once you build something, you get instant feedback before you send it out to the world for people to view it. So this is the builder side. That's why it says back to the builder, because you're previewing what you just built. So can you slide it to the end there, Jim?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Okay, I just got to change the, where did it go here? I have so many tabs open, so.
Well, that's okay.
There it is. I got it now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. So guys, what I want to stress here, we talked about custom with Canva images, but if you want to stick to the buttons, you see how Jim has these and they're like way spaced apart. So this is the quick and dirty method. But what Jim could do is he can go in to those buttons and he can add spacers at the top. So that leave a review is stacked right on top of get show reminders. So there's not that big gap, because, that looks kind of clunky. Now I know Jim built this pretty fast, but if you want to, make things look more professional, you can do the custom images, or you can stick with the buttons, but Jim would just put like 3 or 4 spacers at the top, and that would shove that button down right on top of the get show reminders. And then everything looks, it looks like it should look in that regard. That's the only thing I want to bring up, Jim, is you do have the flexibility, you guys, to do that, to change the look, and you get instant feedback. You just go view it. It's like, yep, that's the way I like it. Back to builder, and you're building again.
Right. And in fact, let me go back, and then this is what I'm going to show you now is if the person hasn't watched our show. So we'll go ahead and let me go through this again. I got to share this tab instead. All right, good. That's working. Hey guys, we're and so we get here, and so we say no. Glad you showed interest. And so now that they said that they have interest in the show, or we tell them we'd like them to learn more about our show, now here at the end, we give them the ability to learn more about our podcast. And so this could take them back to the very original Relatable that we have talked about and did, where we are talking in more detail about what the show is about. And so, and go
that
back
was
to
part of your week 1, right? That you had.
Yes. Yeah. But what I actually did in recording this Relatable is I set it up as a yes, I set it up as a no, and I think if I go into the builder, let me switch the tabs here, and then let's go into the pop-up setup so you all can see this. I've created chapters, and so what that allows me to do is I just did this recording in one sitting, knowing that, okay, I'm talking about we'd like to get a review. If you've watched our show, we ask the question. If they say yes, I take it to that part of the video where I'm talking about if they say yes. And then at the end of that section, as you saw, we're able to set up the reviews. If they say no in the single choice, it jumps all the way to this chapter that, as you see here, it's called No Listen, and it goes into the no part. You could have more than two. You can really, I mean, really, Peter, I think like we've talked about, this is really left up to your imagination and what you want to do with it.
But I will say, Jim, like what you're doing here, and again, Jim's going to present. We have a free accelerator program for podcasters. Jim has all this down in templates. So if you just want to go, I just want to do what Jim did. He has the scripts and he has the builds, and he's going to teach you how to do this. With the script, you don't even have to modify it. All you have to do is turn your camera on and record the script and the teleprompter in Relatable. So Jim has taken a lot of the, like, how do I think about this? How do I put this all together? Because he's already done it and they're using it at Dealcasters. So if you want the easy button, this is the easy button where he's got everything laid out for you. And he's going to talk to you at the end about the accelerator program. It's free. We don't charge for it. But it'll give you that ability to build these things, one or two of them. So you get the hang of it. And then you can just record the rest of Jim's other 4. And now you got your whole suite of how you run your live stream or podcast interaction community.
Yeah. I'm extremely excited about this because I think, and we've talked about this before, Peter, that what people have to think about is, you have a show. How is it that you're building your community? This is really, to me, about building your community because, the algorithms are not necessarily our friends. And so even when we put stuff out, like even today, we've been promoting this show for, I think, about a week. And there's a lot of people that may or may not have seen the invite. We had this on YouTube, we had this on Facebook. But if I knew, if you were connected to us, I could have sent you a reminder that would be on your calendar so that you would know, like, hey, this is the time that the show is going to be. Or even if you missed it, you would at least have that link to go back and watch or listen to the replay, whatever choice that you've made. And so I don't know of any other system right now that is more effective, and that's one of the things that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I guess just my last party, because you showed everything you wanted to show today, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. The only thing I can tell you guys is Relatable was born out of 6 megatrend shifts in socioeconomic behavior, and you guys know a lot of these. Number one, everybody's watching or listening. We're not doing a lot of reading anymore. This is why you're seeing a lot of podcasts go to video, because video is the richest way to share content, right? Audio is not bad. I have a radio show and it's all audio, but that's why I think Chris and Jim do Dealcasters in video. It's live stream, right? Because they get to see them, they get to interact, that kind of thing, right? But I also, some of the other behaviors is, guys, everybody's going online and doing their own research. They're looking for shows like yours, but they're not looking for your show. They're looking for the content of your show. And then they want to have more content that they want to learn from you. Because, I said this in week 1, unless you're Joe Rogan, people are listening to your show for content. They're not listening for the show for you because you're not a unicorn. I have a podcast show and I am nowhere near Joe Rogan, so that's the other thing. The other thing is people are looking for things that are personal and relevant. People want to have a dialogue, not just a monologue. That's why Dealcasters and why you guys are doing live, where you have people come to the show, and why we do this live, where people can ask questions, can interact. Now, the thing that's interesting, I find, is that we have a lot of people that sign up for these, but very few come. And you probably have the same problem. So here's why. I think it's because you've made people aware of what you're doing, but you haven't built that engagement and that community with them where they go, you know what? I feel part of this, a part of Dealcasters. I feel part of this community, right? And that's why we're offering these templates. And Jim's got plug and play so that you can build this, not just an audience email list, but you can build a list of people that engage with you, that give you feedback, because the shift has happened already, guys, in this relationship, what I call the relationship economy. People are looking for dialogue, not monologue. Passive videos are going to die in the future because people want to interact. They want to engage. You guys, all that are watching the replay or watching this live, want the same thing. So this can give you the ability now to not just build an email list, but build an engaged audience. And I think that's the powerful thing here. And Jim is going to report, kind of how they're doing with Dealcasters and how many people are signing up and the interactions and, in future lives. But I do know from all of the other companies that are using Relatable are getting fantastic results. And it's because, first of all, it's personalization. It's relevant to them. They get to choose their own experience. We have almost frictionless in-screen experiences, like tap to put this on your calendar for reminders. And then you get a push notification for your show and it reminds them. It's like, oh yeah, I want to go check out Dealcasters today. But the other thing too is it's building that community, that engagement, that dialogue. And, that really is the power of what you're doing here and how you can stand out from other podcast shows where all they're doing is just doing downloads and they don't have a clue. It's kind of like YouTubers. You watch YouTube and all you are is a set of eyeballs and an IP address. Yeah, you can subscribe to a channel, but they still don't know who you are. Well, now with Relatable, you can start having these interactions with people, right? And that's kind of what we do as humans. And so that's what Relatable does. Whether you're a podcaster or a coach or consultant, it mimics this behavior. So, Jim, that's all I wanted to say for the end.
Yeah, I know. And I think it's so powerful. And even going back to what you're talking about with YouTube, I mean, imagine, if you will, you're a YouTuber. Like, how do I build my, my community? You could put a link to a Relatable into your description, into your comments, and start that conversation. And obviously, if it's you're going to get your trolls, right? That's going to happen. You just learn how to deal with that. But I just think these are exciting times with just there's like new features coming out. There's a roadmap ahead of other things. And so next week we're going to be back on Tuesday at 4:30 Eastern, and we're going to be talking about a couple more things. One is going to be creating interactive video quizzes for your audience, which you could turn these into contests or just to have fun, or even think of it as a way to get people to watch some previous episodes. And we also have created what we call the guest acquisition template. So even though you might be using, say, as an example, Podmatch, now you can, and even in Podmatch, have this link where that interactive helps you do that screening process before maybe you actually book that call to say, yeah, this is a person or people that I want on my podcast. So we'll be talking about that next week. I've shared the accelerator in the comments for you to sign up. We're going to be doing that on February 10th and 11th. And so really excited to help people get started with this. And that's all I got, Peter. You got anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just think it's I think these trainings are great. And the key thing, Jim, really is you don't have to do a lot, because Jim's done a lot of the heavy lifting. He's got the templates, he's got the scripts. The accelerator program has everything for you there free of charge. All you have to do is make it your own, which means turn on your camera on your phone, go into your Relatable, read the script off the teleprompter, and now you have what Jim and Chris have for your own live stream or podcast. And it's just that easy. So you don't have to sit there and think like, well, how do I put all this stuff together? Jim's done all of that for you to make it really simple. So, Joe, I appreciate you doing that. I know you put in a lot of work, but I do think it's going to help a lot of live streamers and podcasters.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. And don't be afraid to be relatable.
Yeah.